We're broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. Welcome to the African History Network show. It is Monday. It is Tuesday. It's Tuesday, November 30th, 2021, and we are live. Broadcasting right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. So I got the breaking news story when we got off the air last night, or early this morning, actually, when I finally finished broadcasting early this morning. It was about 12:30 a.m. when I finished broadcasting. We got the breaking news story from NBC News. Barbados cuts ties with the Queen, becomes a republic in spectacular ceremony. And then also we saw that Rihanna, who is from Barbados, international superstar Rihanna, recording artist Rihanna, who is from Barbados, we saw that Rihanna was named a national hero as well. Okay, in Barbados. So we know Barbados was a English colony, a British colony, going back to 1627. And Barbados created a lot of wealth for England, okay, especially with the sugarcane plantations. So Barbados has removed Queen Elizabeth II as its head of state in a spectacular ceremony that started late Monday night, November 29th, and continued into the morning. And this article here that we have up on the screen is from NBC News. Barbados cuts ties with Queen Elizabeth II, becomes a republic in a dazzling ceremony. Now, today is the anniversary of Barbados's Independence Day, November 30th, 1966. November 30th, 1966, they declared their independence from Great Britain, but Queen Elizabeth still remained as a head of state. The event was held 55 years to the day since Barbados gained full independence, but kept the monarch in the ceremonial role. At the strike of midnight local time, the new republic was born. Cheers of local crowds. The moment was marked by a 21-gun salute and the playing of the Barbadian national anthem. So we're going to give you more details on what happened. We know Prince Charles was there as well, who's heir to the British throne. We're going to give you some background history on Barbados also. And it's interesting that Prince Charles mentioned slavery. Okay, he mentioned slavery today, but he didn't give an apology for slavery. He mentions slavery, that Barbados was enslaved by Great Britain, but he didn't give an apology for slavery, and he didn't mention reparations. So, a lot of people find that interesting, especially being that Great Britain paid reparations to 46,000 slave owners they paid reparations to British slave owners throughout the British colonies when they abolished slavery in 1834. But they didn't give reparations to the enslaved Africans. Very, very interesting. So we'll talk about that story. Also, we'll give you an update on the tragic school shooting in Oxford, Michigan. 3 killed, 8 injured in shooting at Oxford High School. We know the suspect is a 15-year-old sophomore who's in custody. Oakland County Undersheriff Michael McCabe said at a news conference today, and he said a handgun was also found, he said. So more details are coming out on that shooting. They still don't have a motive as of the time of today's broadcast. And then on yesterday's show, we ran out of time. I wanted to get to this topic once again, dealing with the McMichael Bryan murder trial and the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. The difference between felony murder and malice murder, the difference between malice murder and felony murder. We know Travis McMichael was found guilty of malice murder and felony murder. But Greg McMichael, the father, and William Bryan were found not guilty of malice murder. So we have a segment where we deal with that. What's the difference between malice murder and felony murder in the state of Georgia? Okay. All right. Now on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects your own behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events, history, politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the online courses, online history classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturday is from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And then on Sunday, it is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And we teach these on 12 noon and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday and Sunday. We do the sessions live. All the classes are recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. All right. We're coming up here on the break. And we also have a special discount. Normally the classes are $130 each. We have a special promotion going on for a couple more days. We have a bundle pack. You can register for both classes for only $70. As soon as you register, you can watch the archived content, and then you'll be ready for class this weekend. That's at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, we're coming up here on the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Kwanzaa is coming, and the KwanzaaShop.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs. Order your Kwanzaa set today, which includes a kinara, candles, a mat, a cup, the African American flag, and a basket. Visit the KwanzaaShop.com, thekwanzaashop.com. They have kinara sets, which include a candle holder, candles, a mat, and a cup. Kwanzaa is December 26th through January the 1st. Add the early bird discount code for 10% off your order placed before November 28th. Visit thekwanzaashop.com and place your order today. TheKwanzaaShop.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs to celebrate this African American Pan-African holiday. TheKwanzaaShop.com.
Mental health and well-being have long been a taboo subject in the so-called African American community. So I enlisted the help of mental health experts, thought leaders, and activists to help kill the ghost of Willie Lynch and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
We experience trauma a lot of times on a subconscious level. So sometimes something happens to us and we know that it's traumatizing, but we don't really recognize the extent of the trauma.
In entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. It was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts. You can control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, November 30th, 2021, and we are live. All right, we're going to go to clip one here in just a second from NBC News, Shakita. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about the news that came out of Barbados over the night. Now, I posted about this on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, and it got a huge response. And You got over 9,000 likes, the article from NBC News that I posted. And we're going to deal with some history of Barbados as well. So face-to-faceafrica.com has an article as well. Barbados names Rihanna national hero as country becomes world's newest republic. Okay, so this is huge news out of Barbados. Barbados has a population of about 287,000 people. If we go back to this article here from NBC News. Okay, so the event was held 55 years to the day since Barbados gained full independence. They gained their independence November 30th, 1966. At the strike of midnight local time, the new republic was born. To the cheers of local crowds, the moment was marked by a 21-gun salute and the playing of the Barbadian national anthem. Now, a dazzling display of fireworks, dance, and music was followed by Prime Minister Mia Motley declaring the singer Rihanna, who is a Barbadian native, they declared, and she's a global superstar, they declared her a national hero. Rihanna was declared a national hero by the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Motley. Okay, and we know that the new president was elected about a month ago, also Sandra Mason. So we'll talk about that here as well. And we also posted a video from ABC News covering this story. We posted this video earlier today also. That's on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, as well. And the caption says, "Shine like a diamond," which is from one of Rihanna's popular songs. Now, Sandra Mason, a Barbadian who had served as the island's governor general or Queen's representative, was sworn in as the country's first president at the ceremony that took place overnight. She was elected to the figurehead post by Parliament last month, but Mia Motley, the prime minister, will continue to run the country. Now, quote, "It is a monumental step," Christina Hines, a senior lecturer in political science at the University of the West Indies in Eastern Barbados, said on a Zoom call from her home in Wanstead, Wanstead, north of the capital of Bridgetown, ahead of the ceremony. She said, quote, "I think it is part of the evolution of our independence, and it is certainly long overdue." Now, Prince Charles attended the ceremony as well. Prince Charles is the heir to the British throne. He was in attendance as Barbados celebrated ending its formal links with his 95-year-old mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Now, Queen Elizabeth is queen of 15 other realms, including the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, and Jamaica. Now, something else that's interesting here is that we're going to go to this clip here, clip number one, Shakita. Barbados is organized now as a republic, but Barbados will remain in the Commonwealth, which is a voluntary association of 54 states that includes many former British colonies, in which the Queen has championed throughout her life, according to NBC News. So what's going to be interesting to see is how will Barbados do economically after being declared a republic. Because we know that historically, these European colonizer nations still have various to various extents control over the economy of these various African nations or Caribbean nations. His presence, Prince Charles may signal the royal family's desire to maintain strong bonds with the island, which will remain in the Commonwealth, which is a voluntary association of 54 states that includes many former British colonies, and which Queen Elizabeth has championed throughout her life. But there was no talk of reparations. There wasn't even talk of an apology. Prince Charles didn't even give an apology for enslaving Africans in Barbados, okay, and killing off the Arawaks as well in Barbados, the Arawaks and Caribbean Indians. Okay, so there was no apology. Let's go to clip number one, Shakita. This is a little bit of what happened at the ceremony.
I, Sandra Prunella Mason, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Barbados according to law. So help me God.
On behalf of a grateful nation, but an even prouder people, we therefore present to you the designee for National Hero of Barbados, Ambassador Robin Rihanna Fenty. May you continue to shine like a diamond.
From the darkest days of our past and the appalling atrocity of slavery, which forever stains our history, the people of this island forged their path with extraordinary fortitude.
From this moment, every Barbadian becomes the living embodiment of the new republic. Whether fair or foul winds come our way, Vessel Republic Barbados has set sail on her maiden voyage. May she weather all storms and land our country and citizens safely on the horizons and shores which are ahead of us.
Okay, so that was from NBC News, a little excerpt of what happened at the ceremony. Now, I want to go back to this article here from we'll go back to the article here from NBC News here in just a second. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. There was a good timeline of history. So I was doing more research on Barbados today, and is the BBC has a good timeline of history on Barbados. We're going to pull this up here. So we see that the Portuguese explorer Pedro Campos visits the island in 1536, and Barbados is going to be Barbados. The name Barbados means bearded ones, and it either refers to bearded fig trees or it refers to the bearded men on the island of Barbados. So if we look at this here from the BBC, let me pull this up. We'll look at a quick timeline of history here with Barbados. In this picture here is a Bridgetown pictured in 1910. It was founded in 1628 as Indian Village. So in 1627, Captain Henry Powell lands a party of English settlers who establish a colony which they can develop as a sugarcane plantation economy, which they then develop as a sugar plantation economy using slaves brought from Africa. These are colonizers, 1627. Now, they should have said English colonizers. They say English settlers. No, these were English colonizers. Let's be honest. Now, 1639, Barbados' first parliament, the House of Assembly, holds its first meeting. 1663, Barbados is made into an English crown possession in 1663. 1816, there's a slave revolt in Barbados. 1834, Great Britain abolishes in all of its colonies. Okay, in 18 officially abolishes in 1834. 1807, Great Britain abolishes the international transatlantic slave trade, which means taking Africans into its colonies. And the U.S. does the same thing in 1808. Okay, the U.S. Congress passed the bill March 2nd, 1807, which abolished what's known as the international transatlantic slave trade, which means bringing Africans into the country. That goes into effect January 1st, 1808. But we know Europeans kept doing it. We know here in the U.S., we know they kept doing it. It became illegal, and you had ships that were out on the seas looking for slave ships, and you could be arrested and tried in court. And we see this is what happens with the Ahmaud slave ship of 1841. Okay, and those Africans sue for their freedom and win their freedom in the U.S. Supreme Court. And one of the things the U.S. Supreme Court ruled was that it was illegal for the Ahmaud slave ship to come into U.S. waters because the international transatlantic slave trade had been abolished already. All right, 1937 outbreak of riots in response to poor economic conditions. British Royal Commission sent in to investigate conditions. Barbados Labour Party, the BLP, Barbados Labour Party, founded by Grantley Adams, 1937. Grantley Adams. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Soul in Motion, celebrating 38 years in the arts. This energetic ensemble of dancers and drummers was started by percussionist Michael Friend and is led by choreographer Associate Director Pam Lassiter. Based in the Washington, D.C. area, Soul in Motion is now accepting bookings for Black History Month, Juneteenth, and summer festivals in 2022. Soul in Motion is also available for more intimate events like naming ceremonies and weddings. To find out more or book your date, call 240-452-1349 or send an email to info@soulinmotion.org. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Soul in Motion, celebrating our history, our culture, our future. Soul in Motion. Theater, African dance, and drumming since 1984.
The Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. Superstation Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, November 30th, 2021, and we are live. If you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization, we know Kwanzaa's coming up, Dr. King Day, African American History Month is coming up, Christmas, etc. If you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization, email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. If you want me to do an in-person presentation or virtual presentation, in-state, out-of-state, email me there. You can also call me 313-462-0003, 313-462-0003. Be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the online courses I teach on the weekends. On Sunday, it's Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. This is a 10-week online course. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. So as soon as you register, you can watch classes we've done the past few weeks. And you can join us in class live on Sunday, 12 noon to 2 p.m., December 5th. And even after the 10-week online course is over with, you can watch the class. You can still go back and watch the full class. And then on Saturdays, 12 noon to 2 p.m., I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So we have those on sale right now. We have a bundle pack. You can register for both classes for only $70. They're regularly $130 each. Or individually, we have them on sale from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement. That's on sale $50. And Understand the Transatlantic Slave Trade is on sale $60. All right. So we were talking about Barbados removing Queen Elizabeth as the head of state in a huge ceremony that took place Monday night going into Tuesday morning. And this is big news for the Caribbean nation of Barbados. We were dealing with some history of Barbados right before the break. The BBC has a good timeline of history, Barbados profile timeline. We know they were a colony of Britain until they, from 1627 up until the time they declared their independence, November 30th, 1966. So today is the 55th anniversary of Barbados declaring their independence. Now, 1937, outbreak of riots in response to poor economic conditions in Barbados. 1951, universal adult suffrage introduced. Okay, Barbados Labor Party wins general elections. 1954, ministerial government set up with Grantley Adams as premier. 1955, Democratic Labor Party, DLP, formed out of a splinter with the BLP, Barbados Labor Party. 1958 through 1962, Barbados, a member of the British-sponsored Federation of the West Indies, of which Grantley Adams became the first prime minister. 1961, Barbados granted full internal self-government, okay, with DLP leader Errol Barrow as premier. 1966, Barbados becomes independent with Errol Barrow as prime minister. 1967, Barbados joins the United Nations. All right. So you can read the rest of this here, dealing with some history of Barbados. Now, if we go back to the article here from NBC News about the Barbados cuts ties with Queen Elizabeth, becomes a republic in a dazzling ceremony. If we go back to this article, so Prince Charles attended, and we heard remarks from Prince Charles. Here's a picture of Rihanna. She was declared a national hero by Prime Minister Mia Mottley. And let's continue here. Prince Charles said, from the darkest days of our past and the appalling atrocity of slavery, which forever stains our history, people of this island forged their path with extraordinary fortitude. People of this island forged their path with extraordinary fortitude. Now, in the 17th century, Barbados was claimed by the British and turned into a lucrative colony using the labor of hundreds of thousands of people brought over as slaves from Africa. And they had sugarcane plantations there. Now, one estimate I've heard is that the lifespan Barbados during this time with the sugarcane plantations was 18 years. The lifespan in Barbados. One of the estimates I've heard, the lifespan was 18 years. They had brutal conditions on the sugarcane plantations. Now, Barbados became a major hub for the production of sugar, an increasingly crucial commodity that helped enrich British slave owners. As a result, quote, as a result of the desire for the production of sugar, which was catering for a growing sweet tooth back in England, white consumer lifestyles built on the back of Black exploitation. White consumer lifestyles built on the back of Black exploitation and slave labor, said Christopher Pryor, associate professor in colonial and post-colonial history at UK's University of Southampton. Now, the island's present-day population of about 287,000 people is comprised mostly of the descendants of people brought over as slaves from Africa to work in the plantations. Now, despite this history, there remains a level of respect of monarchy and Britain in general, especially among the island's older population, Hines said. Many places in Barbados are named after Queen Elizabeth, or her ancestors, and a lion's share of the country's tourists come from the UK, she added. The island is often referred to as, quote unquote, Little England. So hopefully that would change. Hopefully Barbados will be very prosperous, removing Queen Elizabeth as head of state. And hopefully they will be economically sound as well, and economically prosperous. Still, several people in Barbados welcome their country's move to sever ties with its old imperial rulers. For Barbadians, this is not something personal against the Queen. It is about our national pride and governance, said Renee Holder McLean Ramirez, 45 years old, an LGBTQ community advocate and consultant, said on the phone from his home in Bridgetown, Barbados. As we grow and develop as an independent nation, having a foreign head of state just is not necessary or practical, he said. As we grow and develop as an independent nation, having a foreign head of state just is not necessary or practical. Now, for Ronnie Yearwood, an attorney from Bridgetown, the positive feeling of the move is combined with regret that the government pushed ahead without consulting the public on the type of republic they would want. Okay, the positive feeling of the move is combined with regret that the government pushed ahead without consulting the public on the type of republic they would want. Now, Barbados first pursued the idea of republicanism in the late 1970s, and in 2008 proposed to hold a referendum on the issue, but the date was pushed back indefinitely. The decision to remove Queen Elizabeth as head of state was announced in 2020, but with little consultation about the transition. Quote, there is a lot of disappointment, Yearwood, who's 42 years old, said. It could have been a beautiful moment for all Barbadians. All right, now read the rest of this article here from NBC News. Barbados cuts ties with Queen Elizabeth II, becomes a republic in a dazzling ceremony. All right, now there was face-to-faceafrica.com has an article also dealing with Rihanna being named as being declared as a national hero. Okay, face-to-faceafrica.com has an article on this. There was a history piece. I looked at a number of articles today. The Guardian has a really good one also. The Guardian, which is a UK publication, The Guardian has one, and they go through and show this map We're going to pull this one up here from The Guardian also. Barbados parts ways with Queen and becomes world's newest republic. Okay, we'll look at this one here. And then there's another one from the BBC. Barbados becomes a republic and parts ways with the Queen. And this has this other one here from the BBC has some good background history in it as well. I was looking at a number of different articles. I was looking at articles in New York Times, Washington Post, things like that. And most of the articles didn't have the year that the first English or the year that Barbados became an English colony. That was 1627. Okay, that they became an English colony. Now, okay, here we're coming up here on a break. We'll deal with this on the other side of the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Joel Wilson, President and CEO of JCW Computer Consulting, LLC, a technology implementation firm with over 20 years of satisfying customers. We offer a full spectrum of industry top-tier branded services. We are an authorized partner or reseller for Lenovo, Zoom, T-Mobile, Microsoft 365 and Surface tablets, Google Workspace, Acer, Asus, Samsung, PCmatic security software, and many more. Our online store features laptops, Chromebooks, computers, printers, accessories, and software. Businesses, take advantage of our free 1-hour Zoom tech consultation and know we offer top nationwide high-speed internet service providers, voice over IP, and cellular phone services. Home users, don't miss our current in-stock Chromebook inventory. Please visit us at jcwcc.com or call 215-879-6701.
Gain knowledge in minutes from insightful summaries of progressive and socially conscious books. Blacklisted gives you access to curated content that'll satisfy your curiosity to learn and understand different perspectives. Empower yourself through inspirational and actionable ideas. It's easy to read or listen to on the go. Blacklisted. Empower yourself. Start your free trial today.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation. Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. And we are live. Okay, so we were talking about, right before the break, we were talking about the news out of Barbados and Barbados becoming a republic and removing Queen Elizabeth as the head of state. Now, the BBC has a good article here, another good article I was reading today. And they have some more history dealing with Barbados in here. Also, Britannica.com has a really, really good section on Barbados as well. It's about 14 pages. I printed it up. I have a subscription to Britannica.com. So Barbados becomes a republic and parts ways with the Queen. Now, this is from the BBC. Here is Sandra Mason. Okay. The new president, Sandra Mason. So in this piece here, they give a couple of historical dates. And on page 3, let's see here, the new era of Barbados ends Britain's centuries of influence, including more than 200 years when the island was a hub of the transatlantic slave trade. So we deal with some of the history of Barbados in the online class that I teach. We deal with Portugal, Spain, Great Britain, understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So we deal with some of this in the 10-week online course that I teach also. But there was one part I want to get to here on page 3. Okay. So Sandra Mason, 72 years old, the island's governor general since 2018, was named as president-elect of the nation following a vote in parliament last month. She now replaces the Queen as head of state. Formerly known as the British Commonwealth, the Commonwealth of Nations is a loose association of former British colonies and current dependencies, along with some countries that have no historical ties to Britain. Now, they have a couple historical dates here. Where is that? Okay. It was one of England's first slave colonies. English settlers first occupied the island of Barbados in 1627. And under British control, it became a sugarcane plantation. Sugarcane plantation economy using enslaved people brought in from Africa. Slavery was abolished in Barbados in 1834. And the country became fully independent in 1966. Before Barbados, the last nation to remove Queen Elizabeth as head of state was Mauritius in 1992. With a population of about 285,000 people, Barbados is one of the more populous and prosperous Caribbean islands. Once heavily dependent on sugar exports, its economy has diversified, but has been hit hard by COVID-19, hurting tourism and rising prices caused by supply chain disruptions. Okay, so read this piece here from BBC, the BBC, also BBC News, BBC.com. Barbados becomes a republic and parts ways with the Queen. Barbados becomes a republic and parts ways with the Queen. All right, now, let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to go to clip 2 here, Shakita, from Channel 7 News, dealing with the school shooting. We're going to clip 2 here in just a second. Also, Britannica.com has some really good history on Barbados. They have a section. I printed this out. It's 14 pages, but they have a history section here, and we're going to try to pull this up quickly. Little of the island's prehistory is known, but archaeological investigation indicates that it may have been settled as early as 1600 BC, by people from northern South America. Okay. Now, there were already African people in South America 56,000 years ago. And Dr. David Imhotep deals with this in his book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. I was trying to pull this up from Britannica. Okay. So from about 1600 BC by people from northern South America who later disappear from the archaeological record, Now, from about 500 CE, Common Era, or AD, from about 500 AD to 1600 to 1500 AD, Arawak and Carib Indians probably lived on the island. Okay. The first contact with Europeans may have occurred in the early 16th century when Spaniards visited Barbados. Okay. Now we know the Portuguese visit in 1536. Okay. Let me scroll down here to the history section here. Let's pull this up. Okay. So we know the Portuguese were there in the 16th century, the Spanish and the British, and the British as well in the 17th century British, 1625 and 1627. All right, so Portuguese explorers also touched on the island, which they named Barbados, which means bearded ones. Okay, and let's where is this here? Cultural life. All right. History. Okay. Arawak, from about 500 to 1500, Common Era, Arawak, and Carib Indians probably lived on the island. First contact with Europeans may have occurred in the early 16th century when Spaniards visited Barbados. Portuguese explorers also touched on the island, which they named Barbados, which means bearded ones, either for bearded fig trees or bearded men on the island. Now, the island was depopulated because of repeated slave raids by the Spanish in the 16th century, the 1500s. It is believed that those Indians who avoided enslavement migrated to elsewhere in the region. By the mid-16th century, largely because of the island's small size, remoteness, and depopulation, European explorers had practically abandoned their claims to Barbados, and Barbados remained effectively without a population. Okay, so then they go into the history of British rule. An English expedition of 1625 assessed the potential of the island, and on February 17, 1627, the ship called William and John landed with 80 Englishmen and about 10 Africans. The early period of English settlement or colonization was marked by the insecurity resulting from infrequent provision supplies from Europe and the difficulty in establishing a profitable export crop. So you can read the rest of this here. They talk about the British colonizers as well. This is at Britannica.com. All right, those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting for a few more minutes. We'll do a quick update on what took place with the school shooting in Oxford, Michigan, which is about 35, is a suburb, is about 35 miles away from Detroit. I was watching MSNBC, and they had Detroit up there. They don't put that on Detroit. That ain't, that don't have nothing to do with us. That's another city. That ain't Detroit. All right. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the online courses I teach on the weekend. Remember, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Okay, stand by. Okay, let's go to this next story here. Let me cue this up here. All right. This is a tragedy that happened with the shooting in Oxford, but hell, Detroit has had one tragedy after another. That ain't Detroit. There's a whole nother. I can't even pick out Oxford on the map. I'm just saying that ain't Detroit. So you can't put that on us. We'll be back from break in a couple minutes here.
Soul in Motion, celebrating 38 years in the arts. This energetic ensemble of dancers and drummers was started by percussionist Michael Friend and is led by choreographer Associate Director Pam Lassiter. Based in the Washington, D.C. area, Soul in Motion is now accepting bookings for Black History Month, Juneteenth, and summer festivals in 2022. Soul in Motion is also available for more intimate events like naming ceremonies and weddings. To find out more or to book your date, call 240-452-1349 or send an email to info@soulinmotion.org. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Soul in Motion, celebrating our history, our culture, our future. Soul in Motion. Theater, African dance, and drumming since 1984.
Welcome back to the African History Network show. Okay, if you want to advertise with the African History Network, email us at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com to advertise with us. Also, African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. And you can email us. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Current promotion is about 1 month. get 2 months free. We have like 2 or 3 more slots left. Okay, so we'll post this information here and you can email us. All right. So people across the country heard about the school shooting today in Oxford, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. Okay, it's about 35 miles or so away from Detroit. There was there's a WXYZ Channel 7 has here in Detroit has good reporting on this. Here's what we know about the victims and suspect in the Oxford school shooting. And let me refresh that screen. Refresh that. Also, NBC News has an article as well. NBC News has a piece on this also. 3 killed, 8 injured. 3 killed, 8 injured in shooting at Oxford High School. So we're going to go to WXYZ Channel 7 here in just a second. As soon as I can cue up this clip, it looks like they have an update. Looks like they have an update in the story. Okay, if we look at the story here from NBC News, 3 killed, 8 injured in shooting at Oxford High School in suburban Detroit. It's in Oxford, Michigan. The suspect, a 15-year-old sophomore, is in custody, the undersheriff said. Okay, and this is from earlier today. That's Governor Gretchen Whitmer there. And you also have Oakland County Undersheriff Michael McCabe. So 3 students were killed and 8 others were injured in a shooting Tuesday at Oxford High School in suburban Detroit, authorities said. The suspect, a 15-year-old sophomore, is in custody, Oakland County Undersheriff Michael McCabe said. A handgun was also found. He said. Now, Hannah St. Juliana, 14 years old, Madison Baldwin, 17, were killed in the shooting. Tate Meyer, 16, died in a patrol car as deputies were taking him to the hospital. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office said late Tuesday. 8 others were seriously wounded, including a teacher, and taken to hospitals with various injuries, Sheriff Michael Bouchard said. They did a press conference late today also on this as well. WXYZ Channel 7 has reporting on this. I'm on their website and trying to see. There was okay, so I guess they have updated information here. Let's see if we can go to this clip here after this another commercial stops playing. So 8 others were seriously wounded, including the teacher, and taken to hospitals with various injuries. 3 of the wounded students were in critical condition late Tuesday night, including a 15-year-old boy with a gunshot wound to the head and a 14-year-old girl wounded in the neck and chest and who was on a ventilator. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard said. Authorities received a call about an active shooter at a school just before 1 p.m. Undersheriff Michael McCabe said more than 100 911 calls came in to dispatch. He told reporters today at a press conference. The shooter fired at least a dozen shots before the suspect was taken into custody. The suspect surrendered, did not resist, did not put up a fight. The suspect asked for his attorney as well. Okay, deputies responded, and within 5 minutes, the suspect was in custody. He did not cause any problems. He gave the weapon up. He didn't have the weapon on time, end quote, Under Sheriff Michael McCabe said. Now, authorities did not say what led to the shooting, and Under Sheriff Michael McCabe told reporters that the suspect, quote, invoked his right not to speak. Police briefly spoke to the suspect's parents, who Under Sheriff Michael McCabe said advised their son not to speak to police. Quote, he's not telling us anything, and this at this point in time, he said. Now, the suspect is being held at a juvenile facility, but he could be moved if he is charged as an adult. From Channel 7 News, here's what we know so far also. This is in the article from WXYZ Channel 7 News here in Detroit. Here's what we know about the 11 victims and suspect in the Oxford High School shooting. And they have a summary here of what we know so far. This is in one of the previous articles here. Let me try to go back to their homepage. This is a developing story. So one of the articles I was looking at before we came on the air was updated. Okay, let's try to go back to okay, this article here, they have that information. Let's see. Coverage: 3 students dead in Oxford high school shooting, 8 others injured. From WXYZ Channel 7. So they WXYZ.com, they have that information here in this article here. Let's try to go back to the press conference.
The Oakland County specifically has prepared, I think, as well as any community in the nation. So the first point I'd like to make is sharing information. If you hear or see something, you've got to say something, whether it's okay to say or whether it's calling us directly or anonymously through a variety of methodologies. We need to know what you see and hear in case there's some credible information there. Just in this past week, we've intervened in 3 different events. They were deemed not to be credible, but we check every one of those out. And so it's critically important people understand that's not a burden to us. It's something we want you to do. Call us if there's anybody talking about things, posting about things, writing, anything. You need to let authorities know so there can be intervention. The first line of prevention is open communication. We're also hearing that there were rumors that somebody had heard or said something or knew something in advance. None of that came to us prior to today. So if we find out there was information, that's exactly the kind of thing we need to get looped into. In fact, we have a specific phone number set up. If you have information about this case, whether it's previous information you're aware of or anything that's important or relevant, please let us know at 248-858-4911. Or you can email us at OCSO, that stands for Oakland County Sheriff's Office, at oakgov.com. And as I said, we also accept confidential or anonymous tips on anything related to schools. Secondly, I think it's important to note as we face these things across the country and now here in Oakland, training. We train regularly for active shooter scenarios, and we have for years. In fact, we created a group called OakTAC many years ago after the active shooter in Mumbai, and all of the police agencies in Oakland County have trained together for just this scenario. And we looped in and have fire departments now that train with us and are partners in that same activity. And all of that was very evident today. So we've seen agencies train in our Brandon Township temporary training facility. And with a new training facility on the horizon, we intend to do even more intensive training and train with every agency in Oakland County going forward as we have in the past, but with more scenarios and more real world pressures, if you will. Third, after other school shootings around the country, you saw in some scenarios where the officers or deputies didn't go in. They staged or they waited outside. After some of those scenarios were observed, I made it very clear to our staff, if they get there first, their job is to go in and neutralize the threat. If I get there first, I'm going in. If we get there together, we're both going in. There will be no staging. And I'm proud to say that's exactly what happened today. They went in and searched out the threat. They went to the gunshots. Train, train, train is our mantra, and that also includes students, schools, and staff. Oxford has been one of those districts that's been proactive and has been training. We have literally trained hundreds of schools, businesses, as well as houses of worship. It's sad, but it's necessary. If you remember many, many years ago, we used to have students climb under the desk because of the potential threat of a nuclear attack. Well, there's a very different threat, and we have to train to it and be prepared to it. And this kind of thing can happen anywhere, and sadly, it happened even in a sweet, quiet community like Oxford. It can visit itself anywhere in America. No one is immune. But that training can, does, and did, I believe, in this situation, save lives. So, specifically to this case, on November 30th, our dispatch center received in excess of 100 phone calls in a very short period of time. Their professionalism in responding to that, handling calls, and getting relevant information to get out to our deputies was a testimony to their excellence and professionalism. The high school has approximately 1,800 students, and cars were dispatched at 12:52 and arrived minutes later. Within 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes of their arrival, they had a suspect in custody. The first deputies on scene were joined by about 100 other deputies from the sheriff's office, and shortly thereafter, almost another 200 from area agencies, including numerous fire departments. I'll give you a very detailed list of who showed up so you can understand the partnership and the training that has gone into being prepared for a situation like today.
All right. You can watch the rest of that here at WXYZ.com. That's channel 7 here in Detroit. Visit their website, WXYZ.com. Name of that article. Here's what we know about the 11 victims and suspect in the Oxford High School shooting. And that was Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard speaking, that you see pictured here. That was in a press conference late today. And that's from WXYZ Channel 7 News here in Detroit. All right. So it's definitely a tragedy, and more information is coming out. We'll have more details tomorrow. That press conference was held late today. I want to squeeze in this story here. We ran out of time the past couple of days to get to it, so we're going to squeeze it in today. We talked about the guilty verdict in the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And there was a segment that I played on the show Wednesday. Was it Wednesday or Sunday? One of those days. I think Wednesday. The verdict came out Wednesday, November 24th. The verdict came out. So we did a special broadcast that Wednesday because we weren't actually scheduled to be on the air. The radio station was shut down for Thanksgiving holiday, but I broadcasted on our social media platforms. So that broadcast is archived and it's an audio podcast format. So search for the African History Network show wherever you get your audio podcasts from, or download the iHeartRadio app. Search for the African History Network show. and also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Just click on Listen to Podcasts. There was a segment from MSNBC from Wednesday, November 24th, and it deals with what's the difference between malice murder and felony murder. What's the difference between malice murder and felony murder? Okay. So, and there was also an article dealing with that as well. Let's go back to that article. There was an article from NBC News. Why was only one defendant? There was an article from NBC News. Why was only one defendant in Ahmaud Arbery's killing guilty of malice murder? Why was only one defendant in Ahmaud Arbery's killing guilty of malice murder? All right. And there's a segment here with Georgetown Law School professor Paul Butler from Wednesday, November 24th, that deals with this. Let's go to this clip.
Again, let's go back to the charges here and the guilty counts. There was some difference between what some of the men were found guilty of. Malice murder was the only count that Travis McMichael was found guilty of, but Greg McMichael was not, and William Roddy Bryan was not. Also, while the other two men, all three men, frankly, were also found guilty of felony murder. It's a bit confusing to keep track of. Let's go to Paul Butler. Paul, explain to us the difference between malice murder and felony murder.
Malice murder means that one had the intent to kill. Felony murder means that you didn't have the intent to kill, but while committing a felony, somebody died. So Travis McMichael was convicted of both malice murder and felony murder. Gregory McMichael and Roddy Bryan were found not guilty of malice murder, which means the jurors did not find that they had the intent to kill Mr. Arbery. The difference is that Travis McMichael was the trigger man. Under the law, the other two could have been found guilty of malice murder, but it's not unusual for jurors to single out the trigger person. Katie, Georgia has extremely tough sentencing laws. Both malice murder and felony murder carry a mandatory life sentence. The only discretion that the judge has at sentencing is to decide whether it's life with parole or life without parole. But even if the judge grants them the possibility of parole, they have to serve at least 30 years in prison before they become eligible.
That is quite a long time. When do you think we're going to, I don't think they've announced a sentencing hearing yet, but how quickly, Paul, do those normally happen post guilty verdict?
You know, it depends on the jurisdiction. Again, there's not going to be a whole lot of suspense about this sentence. Here, I think that the next focus will be on the federal charges and whether, frankly, they'll decide whether they want to cop a plea. Since most of these defendants will spend the rest of their lives in prison, they'll have to decide whether they want to fight the federal case. In that federal case, a lot of the evidence of their bias and racism will be admitted that didn't come in this case. I think the prosecutor could have introduced that evidence. She could have fought to get the judge to let her use it. But, Katie, I think she looked at this jury, 11 out of 12 white folks, and she decided that she didn't want to look like she was injecting race in the case, and she thought she had enough evidence without using the racial bias to get her conviction, and she was correct.
Well, let me ask you this. How likely is a federal prosecutor to accept a plea deal? Are they going to want to make this go away so quickly, or are they going to want to use this case as an example?
That's a great question, Katie. And, you know, when you're a lawyer, most cases settle. 95% of criminal cases result in a conviction, but that's on the basis of a guilty plea. And the reason why lawyers like plea agreements is because you don't have to worry about what a jury will do. So on the one hand, the Justice Department will.
All right. So that was from MSNBC. That was from Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. That clip dealt with what's the difference between malice murder and felony murder. Okay. We'll post a link here. That was Georgetown Law School professor Paul Butler explaining the difference. We talked about that here on our show before as well. We dealt with the article. Actually, I think it was last Wednesday. I think it was the day the verdict came out. Yeah, because this article is from Wednesday, November 24th. We talked about this the day the verdict came out, but we were going into the holiday and we weren't live on we weren't broadcasting on 9:10 a.m. WFDF. Why was only one defendant in Ahmaud Arbery's killing guilty of malice murder? Okay, so read that at NBCnews.com. Okay, very quickly here. If you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $TheAHNShow through Cash App, $TheAHNShow through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/TheAHNShow. All right. And we're here 6 days a week. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, etc. So we just posted the information. This is our official Cash App account, $TheAHNShow, SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael and shows my picture there. These other ones here are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. That's not us. Our actual Cash App tag is $TheAHNShow, SHOW. All right. So I teach online classes on Saturdays and Sundays. We have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. On Sunday is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. This is a 10-week online course. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We teach this on Sundays, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's at our online school. It's not here on Facebook. It's not on YouTube. And we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, etc. So as soon as you register, you can watch the previous classes and you'll be ready for class this Sunday. All right. Now, I just want to go over quickly some of the things we deal with in the online class. All right. So we deal with ancient African history. We deal with ancient Kemet, Nubia, Ta-Nehisi, things like this. We deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. We deal with information coming from Dr. David Imhotep, who wrote the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. And we deal with the ancient African presence in the Americas, dating back tens of thousands of years, at least 51,700 years in the land we call the United States of America. This is even before Native Americans come into existence, okay? Even before Native Americans come into existence. As I've said numerous times before, you've heard the interviews I've done with Dr. David Imhotep. This was our land stolen from us, okay? This was our land stolen from us, and it's been stolen numerous times. All right. So some of the things we deal with in the class, we do what was the transatlantic slave trade? What were some of the events that led up to the transatlantic slave trade happening? You have to understand the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors to understand what leads to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. And we can't start the history in 1441 with the Portuguese going into Mauritania. We can't start in 1619 with our history in Virginia. Okay, we have to deal with tens of thousands of years of history that leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. This is one of the problems with the 1619 project. It doesn't deal with history going back far enough. This is one of the problems with the 1619 project. Now we deal with what role did Christopher Columbus play? Columbus is very essential to the spread of the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, Columbus and his 4 voyages on behalf of the Spanish crown. And as I've said numerous times before, Columbus never came to the land that we call the United States of America. Okay, when you look at where Columbus went on his 4 voyages, he goes into Central America, he goes into the Caribbean, he goes into Puerto Rico and Honduras. He never comes to the land that we call the United States of America. The closest he comes here is Cuba, which is about 90 miles away. All right. And we deal with Columbus and we deal with King Charles I, Bartholomew de las Casas, Right Reverend Bishop Bartholomew de las Casas. And we deal with this history chronologically. You have to look at this history chronologically to really understand how all of this evolves. So when we look at where Columbus goes on his 4 voyages, August 3rd, 1492, late in the same year that Spain takes back control of the Moors' last stronghold, Granada, January 2nd, 1492. Columbus set sail on his first of 4 voyages on the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. He goes into the Bahamas. He lands there October 12, 1492, which he calls San Salvador, which means Saint Savior. He said it means Saint Savior. He named it after his Savior, Jesus the Christ, but then became a devil to the people and decimated the population. So he goes into San Salvador, Cuba, Hispaniola, the island of Hispaniola. You know, the western portion of Hispaniola is where Haiti is, Haiti or Haiti. Second voyage, September 1493, goes into the West Indies and Puerto Rico and Jamaica in 1494. Third voyage, May 1498, goes into Trinidad and Venezuelan mainland in South America. Fourth voyage, May 1504, he goes into Panama and Honduras in Central America. Okay, he never comes to the land that we call the United States of America. Now, so we deal with the role Columbus played in also Spain as well, in like the Asiento de Negros, signed by King Charles I in 1518, which gives a license to European nations and European slave traders to supply Spanish colonies with enslaved Africans. We do when did Africans first come to the U.S. as slaves? Did Africans sell themselves into slavery? We deal with that complicated history because it's not like it's normally taught. Okay, we deal with that complicated history. We deal with were African people in America before the slave trade? Yes, we were. As I said before, this was our land stolen from us. Yes, the transatlantic slave trade took place, but we were here tens of thousands of years before it happened. We deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, and what the Moors taken to Europe, because these things they take into Europe, the mathematics, the science, the medicine, these things are going to bring Europe out of the Dark Ages, and it's going to be to our detriment as well. Shocking archaeological discoveries that are causing experts to rethink everything. We deal with numerous archaeological discoveries that are causing the archaeologists, the paleontologists, the scientists to push the timelines back. And they're realizing that all this stuff is much older than what we've been told. Okay, all this stuff is much older than what we've been told. All right, so we also deal with insurance companies, the role insurance companies played in insuring slave ships, as well as Africans on plantations as well. Okay, because insurance policies were taken out on African slaves on the plantations also. Freemasonry, America and the Founding Fathers, the origins of the term Africa, America, and much more. We deal with the problem with slave movies. Why have we been bombarded with slave movies and slave-themed TV shows? Asar, Aset, and Heru, and the origins of the Immaculate Conception story, how all this connects to ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, and the retelling of these stories throughout thousands of years in various people's cultures. Links to ancient Kemet, Egypt, and early Christianity. Freemasonry in America. We do with the fake Willie Lynch letter 1712, because Willie Lynch never historically existed. We talk a lot about the film Black Panther and the African influence in the film Black Panther as well, because Black Panther is a deep movie. There are 11 different African cultures in the film Black Panther. So we deal with all that in the class, and we deal with Asar, Aset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus, the first Holy Trinity. We break down the connection between the Annunciation, the Immaculate Conception, the Adoration, and the Virgin Birth, and how that dates back to ancient Kemet thousands of years ago. This is Aset, the first queen of Kemet. She's the wife of Asar, or who the Greeks called Osiris, mother of Heru, or who the Greeks called Horus. He was the first Ka-rest, that in English they call Christ, coming from the Greek Christos, the Kemetic Ka-rest, Ka meaning spirit, rest meaning to rise, meaning the rising of the spirit, the Ka-rest. We do with the mythology of Asar, Aset, and Heru, and Asar, the father, being cut into 14 pieces by his brother Set, and the resurrection of Osiris or Asar, and the creation of the Tekken as well, which is a African symbol of resurrection. Do we have the Tekken in this present? Okay, this is there's the Tekken right there. Okay, because that's what the Washington Monument is. The Washington Monument is a Tekken. This is the short presentation. This is the short preview presentation. The long presentation is over 100 slides for the actual class. So when we look at the Washington Monument, that's a Tekken. We know that many of the founding fathers were Freemasons, and Freemasonry has its roots, its origins in ancient Kemet, the teachings in ancient Kemet, the mystery systems. There are about 1,200 Tekkenu all throughout ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. Today, there are either a dozen or less than a dozen, somewhere between 7 to 12. And this is a symbol of resurrection, coming from the story of Asar, Aset, and Heru. When Asar's body is cut up into 14 pieces, 13 are recovered by his wife Aset, Isis. The 14th was missing the penis, the phallus. So this is a symbol erected to represent the piece missing from Asar, but it's a symbol of resurrection. Now, the word Mason is derived from the Latin words mass and sun. Mason means child of light and expresses the desire to pursue light, which is a metaphor for the sun, which symbolizes knowledge. The term child of light, or sons and daughters of light, was first used to identify students who had completed 42 years of study in the temples of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. Many Masonic temples were modeled after the temples of Kemet, places where light or knowledge was imparted in a series of steps or degrees. So the concept of liberal arts colleges comes from ancient Kemet, and George G.M. James deals with this in Stolen Legacy. He deals with the 7 liberal arts, the arithmetic, the rhetoric, the logic, things like this. In the concept of associating knowledge with light, okay? And if in school, if you have a child that's smart, you say that's a bright child, B-R-I-G-H-T, associated with light. And when the Vandals and the Visigoths crushed the western portion of the Roman Empire in 476 AD, it cast Europe into the Dark Ages, which is a period of ignorance, hundreds of years, a period of ignorance and war and things like this. There's going to be the Africans, there's going to be the Moors going in 711 AD, going into the Iberian Peninsula from Morocco. Is going to be the Moors, unfortunately, who take the teachings from ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, into Europe. And this is going to bring Europe out of the Dark Ages. They're taking the light from ancient Africa into Europe. And this brings Europe out of the Dark Ages. And then we're going to see Europe coming out of the Dark Ages. And we see the late 1400s, and we see the Europeans expanding and conquering non-European nations, going into Africa, conquering the Caribbean, things like this, and building back up Europe after Europe was devastated by the Black Death, the bubonic plague, which hits in 1347 AD, hits in spurts from 1347 AD to 1400. 50 of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence were Freemasons. 13 of the 39 signers of the U.S. Constitution were Freemasons. If you read Egypt on the Potomac by Tony Browder, he breaks this down, page 18 and page 32. Egypt on the Potomac by Tony Browder. I talked to Browder a couple of days ago, so I'm trying to set up another interview with him because he's heading back to Egypt soon. The Black Death, the bubonic plague, hits in 1347 to 1400, Common Era. One of the worst plagues in history arrived at Europe's shores in 1347 AD or CE, Common Era. 5 years later, some 25 to 50 million people were dead in Europe because of the Black Death, the bubonic plague. Nearly 700 years after the Black Death swept through Europe, it still haunts the world as the worst case scenario for an epidemic called the Great Mortality, as it caused its devastation. This second great pandemic of bubonic plague became known as the Black Death in the late 17th century. Modern genetic analysis suggests that the bubonic plague was caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, or Y. pestis. Chief among its symptoms are painfully swollen lymph glands that form pus-filled boils called bulbous. Sufferers also face fever, chills, headaches, shortness of breath, hemorrhaging, bloody sputum, vomiting, and delirium. And if it goes untreated, a survival rate of 50%. History.com has a good article dealing with the Black Death. History.com, the official website of the History Channel. So we deal with Mansa Musa, the richest man in history and emperor of the Mali Empire, becomes emperor of the Mali Empire in 1312 AD. We deal with the relationship between Mansa Musa and T'Challa in the movie Black Panther, because in the Marvel comic universe, T'Challa is the richest man in basically the Marvel comic universe. He's the king of Wakanda. Mansa Musa became ruler of the Mali Empire in 1312 AD, taking the throne after his predecessor Abu Bakr II, for whom he had served as deputy, went missing on a voyage he took by sea to find the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. Mansa Musa's rule came at a time when European nations were struggling due to raging civil wars and a lack of resources. During that period, the Mali Empire flourished thanks to ample natural resources like gold and salt. This is an article that came out the month after Black Panther came out, March 19, 2018. This 14th century African emperor remains the richest person in history. Okay, then we deal with like some of the Neteru, the forces of nature, the deities in ancient Kemet, like Bast or Bastet. And we see Bast depicted in the film Black Panther, which is the deity that watches over Wakanda, the Black Panther. Okay, not T'Challa, but the actual Black Panther. Okay, that deity. And we're going to see in ancient Kemet in different cities, there's a different Neter that watches over the city. Okay, a different deity that watches over the city. But Bast or Bastet was an ancient Kemetic goddess worshipped in the form of a lioness and later a cat. She was a goddess of warfare, or a Neter of warfare in Lower Kemet, and worshipped as early as the Second Dynasty, about 2890 BCE, before the Common Era, or was commonly known as BC. Okay, this is a brief overview of some of the things we deal with in the class. This is a 10-week online course. We deal with thousands of years of history. We go through things chronologically as much as possible and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. So we'll post a link here. We have a bundle pack right now where you can register for both classes for only $70. It's regularly $130 for each class. You get Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, that I do on Sundays, and Sundays 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968, that I do on Saturdays 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. Even after the 10-week online course is over with, you still have access to the full class. Go back and watch it as much as you want to. You can watch from around the world. We have the information on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. HistoryNetwork.com. You can buy the class. You can register for the classes individually or in the bundle pack, which is the biggest discount. We have that going on for a couple days, 1 or 2 more days. The bundle pack discount. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. If you have any questions about the class, you can email me, AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And also, if you rather pay through Cash App instead of PayPal, let me know as well. Email me. We can work that out for you. Remember, right now it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.
Soul in Motion, celebrating 38 years in the arts. This energetic ensemble of dancers and drummers was started by percussionist Michael Friend and is led by choreographer Associate Director Pam Lassiter. Based in the Washington, D.C. area, Soul in Motion is now accepting bookings for Black History Month, Juneteenth, and summer festivals in 2022. Soul in Motion is also available for more intimate events like naming ceremonies and weddings. To find out more or to book your date, call 240-452-1349 or send an email to info@soulinmotion.org. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Soul in Motion, celebrating our history, our culture, our future. Soul in Motion. Theater, African dance, and drumming since 1984.
Kwanzaa is coming, and the TheAHNShow.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs. Order your Kwanzaa set today, which includes a kinara, candles, a mat, a cup, the African American flag, and a basket. Visit TheAHNShow.com, TheAHNShow.com. They have kinara sets, which include a candle holder, candles, a mat, and a cup. Kwanzaa is December 26th through January the 1st. Add the early bird discount code for 10% off your order placed before November 28th. Visit TheAHNShow.com and place your order today. TheAHNShow.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs to celebrate this African American Pan-African holiday. TheAHNShow.com.
Mental health and well-being have long been a taboo subject in the so-called African American community. So I enlisted the help of mental health experts, thought leaders, and activists to help kill the ghost of Willie Lynch and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
We experience trauma a lot of times on a subconscious level. So sometimes something happens to us and we know that it's traumatizing, but we don't really recognize the extent of the trauma.
Hi, I'm Joel Wilson, President and CEO of JCW Computer Consulting, LLC, a technology implementation firm with over 20 years of satisfying customers. We offer a full spectrum of industry top-tier branded services. We are an authorized partner or reseller for Lenovo, Zoom, T-Mobile, Microsoft 365 and Surface tablets, Google Workspace, Acer, Asus, Samsung, PCmatic security software, and many more. Our online store features laptops, Chromebooks, computers, printers, accessories, and software. Businesses, Take advantage of our free 1-hour Zoom tech consultation and know we offer top nationwide high-speed internet service providers, voice over IP, and cellular phone services. Home users, don't